So do you want to hear a really inspirational story of $0 to $100 million in direct-to-consumer e-commerce, bootstrapped, purposeful, and deliberate? It's this episode you do not want to miss, where I interview the founder of FitTrack, Jeff Lee. So stay tuned. So welcome to the 2X e-commerce podcast show. I'm your host, Kunle, and this is a podcast dedicated to rapid growth in online retail. Now, the episode you're about to listen to is an interview I had with the founder of FitTrack. His name is Jeff Lee. He's based out in Canada. I believe he's based out in Toronto. His story is one to admire. At the time of this recording, 29, built out a $100 million business, essentially, called FitTrack. I remember 2 Christmases ago, I was thinking about buying a scale, and that came into my radar, only that the amount of time it would take to ship to the UK was just not working for me, so I had to look for a more domestic supplier of the scale. Basically, what FitTrack does is they do 2 things. They started out selling smart scales, essentially, so scales that get your weight and tell you your body fat and your body composition, all that good stuff. And they do that both on the interface on the scale as well as on an app. And then they segued, or they did a product launch for a smartwatch to create like an ecosystem for health data collection. And essentially it's a product business on the one hand and a software and app business on the other. And the app actually enables retention and obviously word of mouth. That's why we're talking about it. So Jeff tells his story about how he was in $250,000 of debt, essentially, how he traveled over to Hong Kong to learn manufacturing and Switzerland to learn about watches, his darkest moment, how he puts his head down learning Facebook advertising, how they work on retention these days. And what I tried to get out of him was like, what was the mindset and what did the things look like from 0 to 6 million? Because they got 6 million in revenue pretty quickly. I'm talking 3 months. And then another key tranche or milestone essentially was when they moved to 20 million. And then the 20 million was a big jump to where they are now. There's obviously a big gap between 20 and 100 as to where they are right now. So we talk about these key milestones and, to help whoever is listening to this podcast on the sort of mindset, the sort of preparation, and the sort of expectations to have at certain revenue points. He was super open. I don't know whether it's just my luck with this interview, but he didn't hold back. He gave it 100. He gave 100. So this is a podcast, I think, or this episode is one that people will reference over and over and over again. It reminds me of the Josh Ellis Statey interview, the founder of Snow. I had at the time they were doing the run rate. I can't quite remember run rate of was it 10 or 20? But right now they're an over $100 million company. That's Snow. And I had him on the interview. It's a brilliant episode. Enjoy this episode, and don't forget to sign up for the Commerce Excel conference. Leave your comments, share. Share on LinkedIn, share on Twitter, share on your Facebook, wherever you love to share. Share this episode. It's just full of nuggets. And that's all I can say for now. Enjoy. Cheers. Welcome to the 2X e-commerce podcast show. This is the podcast dedicated to rapid growth in online retail. Now, on today's episode, we're jumping right straight into the meat because I'm just super excited about who we have here. When the opportunity came on my table to do it, I was like, I want to interview him today. His name is Jeff Lee, by the way. He's the founder of FitTrack. Now, FitTrack is a health D2C platform, essentially, which merges proper hardware with software to deliver solutions that just help people get healthier, in short. So Jeff, I'm going to read his bio here. Jeff is an entrepreneur and growth hacker, or growth marketer rather, who is transforming the direct-to-consumer space through funnel and creative hacking. As a co-founder of Kubert and FitTrack, Jeff's focus is to create brands that customers can't live without and scaling brands to sustainable to sustainability through performance marketing. His business now is 8 figures, multiple 8 figures. He did that in 5 years. And what else can I say? He's 29, phenomenal entrepreneur based out in Toronto. I'm just super excited, to have you on the show, Jeff. Without further ado, welcome.
Hi, Kunle. Thanks a lot for having me today.
Brilliant. I probably haven't done you sufficient justice in introducing yourself, in introducing Kubert, and also in introducing FitTrack. Could you take the next, minute, 2, even 3, to just tell us about you real quick and your 2 other brands?
Yep, I could definitely do that. So I'm one of the founders of FitTrack, and specifically for FitTrack, our goal is really to help people live healthier lives by making health management more simple, sustainable, as well as actionable. If we look at the health effects on the world today, obesity and overweight has become more common than ever. And with our products, users can now see how their daily choices, from how much they move, how well they sleep, how well they handle stress, how well they eat, all connect to a full picture of health. And with such simplified and easy to understand health data, users can now take control of their life and health at the comfort of their own home as well.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that's a little bit about FitTrack, and Kubert is the mother umbrella company that, really our goal is to build brands that have, number one, a positive impact on the world in a positive way. So it could be, making people live a healthier life, improving, education as a whole, the health and happiness as well.
So Kubert is the biggest story. It's like the is it XYZ with is it ABC or XYZ, the alphabet company, and then Google is under. So Fitbit is under Kubert. In that you're doing much bigger.
Yes, that's right.
You're solving much bigger problems, world problems, with Kubert.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. You did mention that you're a co-founder. I didn't even pick up on that at all. How many other co-founders do you have, and do you mind sharing their name, his or her, or their names?
So for Kubert, my co-founder name is Marius. He's also the CEO of Kubert.
Okay, and then for Fitbit, for FitTrack, sorry.
In FitTrack, I'm the founder and the CEO for FitTrack.
Fantastic. Okay, let's just a disclaimer to people listening. I'm on FitTrack's mailing list. I have been on their mailing list for the past probably 2.5 years or so. I almost purchased a scale, a smart scale, but just due to it being in the States at the time, I had this perception I was in the States and I wanted it like yesterday, and so I didn't. But I follow FitTrack on a regular basis. The cadence you set on your email communication is immaculate. It's great. It's not just salesy. It's very educational, and that's why when this opportunity came, I was like, wow, it's the stars do really align. Now, in regards to your backstory in terms of FitTrack, what did you do before FitTrack, and how old is FitTrack actually?
So FitTrack's about 2 years old. I'll go through a little story of my entrepreneur journey to date, prior to starting FitTrack. So I was an investment advisor right after I graduated university, and I was making pretty good money there, but I finally quit because in the finance world, it's all about making money, and I just wasn't happy, working so hard, fighting just for money. I felt like there was something missing there. I decided to take a trip to Hawaii to just think about what I wanted to do in life, and I was really into watches then, so I came back from Hawaii. I flew straight to Hong Kong right after to learn about manufacturing, and then I went to Switzerland right after to learn about the art of watchmaking. Mm-hmm. And being so young, it was all about running business that was cool, and I don't think there was much thought that went into that. And I was really young at that time as well, and I didn't really know how much it cost to run a business. I only had $30,000 saved at that point, and I thought that was enough. So fast forward 2 years later, I was $235,000 in debt. But I'm also a very stubborn person. I think everyone was asking me to, hey, give this up, this isn't working out. But I just felt like if I gave that business up, if I give up on that, I'm kind of losing. So I continued that business. I sold everything I have to keep that going, my table, my bed, every single thing, and I think what I had left was an air mattress. I had to shower in the Good Life gym because I couldn't afford soap. And I think it was one of the darkest moments in my life. But I also felt it was that time that I've learned the most and I've grown the most as well. And one of the really important lessons I've learned there was, it's okay to lose sometimes if you learn. And losing is a good thing, because you learn the most when you lose. So after that, I decided, just to reflect on what I needed, and I realized I didn't have, the money making skills, the marketing skill sets, and I just knew that I needed to take a pause. So I decided to go back, and I took 2 jobs, and I saved up, and I took every day, very disciplined on 5 hours every day after work to learn Facebook ads, Instagram marketing, email, and conversion rate optimization. It was around a 16, 17 hours a day, every single day, 7 days a week. And it's gotten to a point where I felt like my work wasn't allowing me to learn as fast. After a 12, 13 hours work day, you come back, you're dead, you're not able to focus as much. So I decided that, I really want to kickstart my second new business. And to do that, I need to have more time to learn. So I left my job, but I made sure that I only had 3 weeks of run rate at that time, and I made sure that I'm going to be learning 14 hours to 15 hours every single day. And it took me about 2-3 weeks, and I decided to launch my second ecom business after. And 2 months later into launching that, I was able to go from zero to $250,000 a month for my first ecom store. And 6 months later, I was able to grow my business from 0 to 8 figures easily, and things was growing really great. And I continued to build a third ecom store that was able to go from 0 to 12 mil within the first 6 to 8 months. But then I felt that I was very much in the same place I was a few years back, where I was like just mainly focused on making money, and money was on the top of my mind above everything else. And with more maturity this time, and reflecting, really understanding that, hey, success isn't about making money. It's really about making an impact here and being of service to others. So I really got my time to start thinking about what would my next venture be. And during that time, I was going to the gym, and I was so focused on gaining muscles. I was eating so unhealthily just to gain the muscle, just to bulk up. And then my dad sat me down and told me that, how health is everything, and it's not just about weight. If I want to gain muscle, do it the right way and start measuring the correct way, and not just measure the weight, because your weight is not an accurate representation of your health or your goals, which is gaining muscles. And my dad, got me a smart scale at that time, a much older version, and wow, that's not as accurate as the product that we have today. That still gave me a benchmark to see how my daily choices, from what I eat and how much I work out, how all that affect my body. And I just felt very grateful that I had that support, being able to understand, getting the right health data and health advice. And that kind of started a light bulb in my head that, I wanted to build something that, allows people to have, easy, accessible health data like that as well, and health advice, making health management more easy and sustainable for everyone else. Right. And that's the idea where FitTrack was born.
Right. That's deep. There's a lot to unpick from there. I'm going to ask a few questions. We go back to the watch, your Hong Kong days with the watch, business, where you were in the negative of minus $235,000. Did you launch a brand at the time, or was it all put into R&D and trying to research, what the industry was like?
So a lot of that. So I did launch a brand. It's called Jeff Sawyer watches, and I would say around 30 to 40% of that was R&D costs. Another 40% on marketing, and then inventory as well. I think marketing cost was the one that took up the most money. Marketing the product in the most inefficient way.
Okay, and then we fast forward. You talk about your bulking days. I empathize with you because I've been there. I've done that in regards to just looking at the muscles and the aesthetics and not actually looking at your health, where you're trying to run, essentially, and then you're out of breath, but you seem to look good, aesthetically. So moving on. So let's talk about the dropship. As in, it's still phenomenal to do dropship to 10 million, despite all the customer experience issues with related to dropship. For you to run 10 million plus dropship businesses, that is, that takes a lot of skill. It takes a team. Did you have a team at the time, prior to, launching Fitbit with the dropship, experiment you were running at the time? I would even call them full-fledged businesses at that scale.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I had a team. I had, virtual assistant and a team of customer support people, and I would say that would go to the bulk of it. It was, I was literally sleeping at 2, because back in the days, where there isn't Facebook rules in place for you to optimize. You can't just run a $30,000 budget. You have to stay in your computer. I would wake up at 7 in the morning, jump on my computer and just optimize my ads all the way to 2 a.m. And that's 7 days a week, right? You can't go for dinner because if you go away for 2 hours, you could spend 10K or 20K on Facebook and get profitable.
Was this the fidget spinners days, or slightly earlier, or after? What kind of timeline was this?
It was right around the fidget spinner days.
That was a golden era of media buying right there. So it was great timing, great timing. Okay, so you probably left all of that with a load full of cash. I can imagine, working at that scale. You either don't make money in dropship or you make money, and I'm assuming that you took some of the monies to get into FitTrack's, something much more meaningful, that you saw direct impact in not just your life but lives across the board. So how did you, from a capital standpoint and also from a barrier to entry standpoint, it's quite high. For you to get into smart scale, you don't want to get a generic product off the market, do you? You probably want to put something better, do a bit of research, software. It has to have an app, and all that is capital intensive. What did it look like as in building FitTrack, and how long did it take you to actually bring FitTrack to market, even before the marketing started?
So it took me about, I would say, 6 to 8 months in terms of building the app out, doing R&D in the product, because there is smart scales already in the market. However, there has, the accuracy of the smart scale, the user experience, that was stuff that I felt that could be improved based on the research I've done. And through the 6 to 8 months, I think prior to even the 6 to 8 months, I understand how capital intensive that is, and I'm a very big believer of, being your own seed, creating your own opportunity and your seed funding, and not waiting for a VC to come in to fund you, right? So being able to have the opportunity to have my e-com stores, my dropshipping and my white labeling store before, I almost acted as my self-seed funder as well, to be able to take my time out to build the app that, number one, have really great user experience, that's able to take the data from the hardware and relay that back to the customer in a very easy to understand way, but also a very actionable way as well.
So you had hardware engineers on the one hand, and then you had app developers. Did you optimize for iOS first or Android? What was the thinking at the time?
So we optimize for both of them at the
Wow.
same time,
Okay.
just because both our, I think the research showed that there's still quite a heavy base of Android users as well. So I thought it was crucial for us to launch with Android and iOS.
Okay. And what did the launch process look like? Because I recall you mentioned the fact that you did 6 million in record time of launching the business. But what did the launch look like? What was the most important component? Was it the creatives? Was it performance? Was it getting reviews on third party sites? What did your roadmap look like towards just growing really rapidly?
I think the foundation of great marketing at the end of the day comes from great creative, and great creative comes from understanding your customer very, very well. So I think that's something we were very much focused on in the beginning. I was combing through Amazon comments of every smart skill that I could find, and just reading what people liked about it, what were some of people's pain point, what they didn't like about the products. Really understand why people, get into smart scale. What are some of the different journeys, the different angles that people go into? They might be on a nutrition journey. They might be, on a fitness journey like myself, or they could be smokers who quit smoking and, they started gaining weight and they want to have a more healthier lifestyle. So being able to understand my customer on so many different levels, that their journeys, what are their pain points, what are they looking to solve in their life, allow me to build really, really strong creative and hypothesis to start. And I think that really is the foundation of any strong marketing effort, is to really understand your customer so you can build really strong messaging and creative that will resonate the best with your customer. And that really allowed us to scale from 0 to 6 mil in the first 3 months.
First 3 months, wow. Meaning that you guys were doing like 7 to 10 grand a day to get that scale. Okay, so it sounds to me like you had your customer personas ready, in place. So you had the smoker, bodybuilder, health conscious. Which of these personas did you get the best reaction within that first quarter, that first 3 months?
It would be, I think, people who are trying to lose weight, but in a healthy and sustainable way, and people who understand that, let me rephrase that, who are trying to lose body fat percentage instead of losing weight, where they understand that weight isn't necessarily a right judgment of your health and what your real goal is. And in my case, I'm trying to gain muscle, which yes, I'm trying to gain weight, but what I'm trying to really do is to gain muscle mass. And the audience that did really well was trying to lose body fat percentage rather than losing weight on its own. Right. So I think that audience itself resonates really well, where we really educate the people about, it's not just about your weight, it's about understanding what your weight consists of, and making the right choice to lose the right body and improve your body, the right body composition.
Right. Okay, so your $100 million company, FitTrack itself, is generating $100 million per year, at the moment. How big is your audience at the moment, your owned audience? I mean your email list. For $100 million company, how big is an email list?
Our email list right now, I don't have an exact number, but I believe it's around a 1.2 to 1.5 million people globally.
Who'd you use for your email?
Platform-wise, or we use Klaviyo.
So the sponsors of this podcast, by the way. But it's incredible. I just wonder what your costs are, from a Klaviyo at that 1.2 million. Okay, and another thing is multi-channel. Are you on Amazon? Are you purely D2C?
So we're on Amazon as well. We just started retail as well, okay. And we are we're in Best Buy, we're in Macy's, we're in Walmart as well. Okay. Along with our online e-commerce store, which is FitTrack.com.
Okay. we're going to jump into all of that, into all those channels shortly. So, as a 100 million, dollar in revenue company, profitable, you did 6 million in the first 3 months. What key milestones from a revenue and just from a revenue standpoint do you think changed the way you did marketing significantly? From that journey from 6 million to where you are now?
I would say everything went really well from 6 mil to 20 mil. I think a business needs to evolve when you hit the 20 mil mark to run your business in a very different way. Number one, I think I'll run you through some of the challenges that we faced, when we first went from 20 mil to where we are today.
Love that.
So our customer service, our fulfillment, was affected because we scaled too fast. And with going too fast, there's a bunch of product issues as well. And the lesson here is to build your business for the future, not for what you have today, right? So customer service, one thing we really understand when we start scaling up is the customer service and happiness is the foundation to any good business, and it can make or break you. When you're at the level of 20 mil and above, what you should be focusing on isn't just about acquiring new users anymore. It's about increasing the lifetime value and the experience of every user that you have. And by having good customer experience, people would then come back, and ultimately you would then increase your lifetime value for the customer. And that's where the real value of the business is, because when you just focus on acquiring customer, acquisition cost is going to keep getting more expensive and expensive. And if that's your only tool to always just focus on acquiring users, that's just not a sustainable business. And a sustainable business have to have a very strong repeat customer, a very high lifetime value. And another part of that as well is, on top of just acquiring customer through paid channels, we also understand that a healthy marketing mix for sustainability and for profitability, you need to have a very strong organic, a full marketing, which is not just paid traffic, but a mixture of own media and as well as earned media to bring in that different traffic source as well, the organic traffic source or the earned media traffic source as well.
Absolutely. So would you say that your journey from 0 to 20 million was purely acquisition focused?
Yes, purely acquisition, purely on paid performance.
But you were
marketing.
one product business at the time, though. You were just selling the scales and the app, right? Because
but we decided we were launching the watch as well, and we understood that I think from 20 mil, that's when we launched the watch, where we understand that, hey, if we don't have a good customer experience, or we're not providing real value to our customers, they're not going to come back to purchase the next product that we launched, which is the watch. And very initially, when we first launched the watch, that's kind of what we've seen, because customer experience wasn't the focus of the company. There was so much stuff that we were focusing on beyond customer experience, and that should truly be the first focus of any company. And that's something I've learned, growing a company from 20 to 100, that to grow, I think customer service isn't just good for the customer, it's good for business.
Awesome. Let's scratch beneath the surface on customer experience and customer happiness. What sort of issues were you having? Were they faulty product issues? Was it the unresponsiveness of your customer service? Did it amplify itself in terms of reviews on the outside? Could you just share some more light on what you were facing at the time?
Yeah, so I think with the rapid growth that we had, I think our customer experience team definitely have a hard time catching up to the tickets. So there was periods of time where we have, the delayed responses. We didn't have a process set in place as well, where we are taking consumer feedback in the right way to feed that to the product team to build a better product, to improve the feature sets. there was with the rapid growth and the database, there was bugs, there was crashes, and these was all almost put on the second priority list, and our main focus was just growth, and I would say 90% of the company effort was just focused on that, and everything else was affected. And it all comes down to customer service, building that right process to inform the marketing team, the right process to inform the product team to do better. And also, because customer experience goes more than just replying tickets, in my opinion. Yeah, so that part, just on the customer service front, that's something we've dropped the ball on very initially as well. But going deeper into customer experience is also about being able to tweak, improve the feature sets based on customer feedback, blah, blah, blah.
I love the fact that you mentioned that the heart and soul of all that you do is customer experience and customer happiness. And, very early on, you mentioned the fact that feeds into understanding the customer better, and things like copy are fine-tuned off the back of knowing your customer better. And now you're talking again about, using that as a hub to inform product improvement, moving forward. So that is a really, really, big point I took away from what you just said. Now, so over the lifespan, you said, FitTrack has been around for for 2 years now. So over the lifespan of FitTrack, how many product iterations have you, gone through? And how do you balance out just inventory issues? Trying to, let's say you're aware that, customers are complaining about this batch. You have 100,000 units to sell, just hypothetically speaking, or 10,000 units to sell, but that there's going to be another iteration, on the way. How do you balance that out? And I know I've asked too many questions in one go, but the two questions really are, how many iterations have you had, and how do you manage inventory with new products?
So in terms of iteration, the part of our business is the iteration of the software itself, because the hardware is just hardware, right? The hardware takes that data and it inputs it into the app, and it's the value is in the software and how the app delivers the experience to the customer. That's where we really focus on our iteration on, and how we can improve the software experience. So we've went through multiple iterations. We've released, new updates, on right now we release new updates every single month, but I would say back in my early days, it was every 3 to 6 months.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. So the hardware has really remained the same over that period. Okay. So when did you make the decision? So you made the decision 20 million plus, okay, to fix customer happiness, customer experience. What specifically did you do? Did you increase the number of, staff? How did you change the process? Because really, just growth is about people, processes, and essentially actions they take. So what did you do to really streamline, your to fix the issue essentially?
So there's twofold to this. So we started off by looking at customer experience beyond just customer service. We built out a full customer experience team, and that includes, the customer insights team, which consists of, data scientists, analysis to understand the customer even better, because it goes beyond just your customer service agent, which I think a lot of brands are mainly focusing on just the customer service aspect, whereas customer experience really comes down to much more than that. So we built out a customer insights team to do monthly interviews and chats with our customer to understand their pain points, what they want to see, how we can improve their life a little bit better. And then in terms of the customer service team, we built better processes within communication within the company for us to work synonymously closely with the product team, the fulfillment team, the marketing team, because essentially the customer service team is one of the biggest role in the company, and it needs to sit in the middle to inform all the different teams within the company as well. So we built out a very strong process in our customer service team. That way, all the other departments are very well informed, and the entire company as a whole have that first touch point to the customer as well.
Yeah, it's such an important department to get right. It's a core. It's really the core. And do you suggest any tools? Along obviously with the people, to help just ease the just managing customer service, customer experience.
I think there's plenty of tools out there, from a better CRM tool. There's also, I think, better bot tools like ManyChat, Landbot, to be able to build a better experience all in all on the customer service side. In terms of processes internally within the company, that's something that we've built out, and it's a lot of manual work and reiteration of, but that's not, I wouldn't say, much of a tool that we use beyond the project management tool for communication.
Okay. So officially, you've got the smart scale with software at the core. You've got your smart watch. What would you say was easier to launch, the smart watch or the range of smart watches, or the scale?
I would definitely say the scale is a much easier launch, and one of the reasons I find the smartwatch a little harder is there's already a category king in the space. We all know Apple Watch, and I think the lesson there as well, when we start thinking about the new brands that we're creating in Qbert, is, are we able to become a category king in this space? And if you aren't able to do that, then that's something that we need to rethink of. There's a really good book I've read recently called Play to Win, and it's written by one of the ex-CEO of Procter & Gamble, I believe. And when he came in, I think he axed around 80% of their product line on items that they're not able to be the category king in. And they focus on stuff that they can absolutely win in that space. So if they're not gonna be like the first of the first, then they cut that off. I think within, let's say if you're trying to enter the health tech niche, you would need to find an entryway first, to compete in a space that there isn't a category king yet. And once you are there as a category king, then you have the opportunity to maybe branch out and start taking over other markets. And compete with other category king. But until you get there, you should really focus on building that category king within for your product. So I think having that lessons, we understand that we have opportunity here to be the category king in the smart scale space. And that really inform all of our business decision moving forward on, are we going to be a category king in this space, and how are we going to get there, and then putting the effort to get there as well.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense about being a category leader in a space. So, what do customers typically buy first? The smartwatch or the scale?
So customer usually buys the smart scale first.
Smart scale.
We are with the improvement of our, providing more value to the customer and educating the customers. We are seeing a much more better uptake on people then repeating their purchase, not just on the watch, just buying the watch as a full ecosystem set, but as well buying the scales for their friends, for their family as well.
Yeah. And I guess there's a bundling there. Yeah, so it's a great gifting opportunity. So I guess your Q4 is crazy. Your Q4 must be insane. It must be insane. Okay, so you, from the sounds of things, you have grown from a $20 million company to a $100 million company through two major things. Maybe if you both through these things, you've expanded your product. You at the core, you've improved customer experience and been able to get customer insights from customers. And then you have brought in new products, which is the Atria 2.0, your smart watch. and also you have revved up your marketing and moved into channels, new channels, to this $100 million dollar play. And I'm seeing this sort of pattern in 100 million plus companies. So my question is, how different from a marketing standpoint is running, and also from a team, building a team, is running a $20 million company to a $100 million company? What does your marketing look like beyond budget?
I think building that team out, having a very strong set of, let's say, paid social media buyers, to SEM, to account strategists. I think building that team out to be able to grow from 20 to 100 is also very, very crucial, beyond just the marketing budget. And I think the thinking, the mindset of everyone have to change within the company as well. When you're running a $20 million company to a $100 million company, the company all in all, the culture and everything has to change as well. And I'm very proud to, of all of our team members and our team, that we are all growing together in a very fast pace. If you look at a usual company, life cycle, a company usually changes or grows, every 2 years or 3 years, and we are growing every quarter, right? A quarter ago, we are a much different company than the company that we are this quarter. And it's very important to understand that, especially if you're growing that fast, to start thinking ahead and start building processes. We are starting to build process for us being a $1 billion company, and we're not just focusing on where we are today. So I think it's very important for a company to always think ahead and start building processes and set things in place for where they are going to hit next versus where they are today.
Okay, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. And what is the what's the ratio of D2C versus all other channels?
I would say our D2C, and when you say D2C, I'm assuming you're meaning just our website, correct? I would say that still consists around a 60% of our revenue compared to all the other channels.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's more than half. So it's a mothership, really. It's a mothership. And what's been your experience with the big elephant in the room, the 1,000 ton or 1,000 pound rather, gorilla Amazon? How does Amazon? What's your experience with Amazon?
I think we work really well with Amazon. I think Amazon is just another channel for us to sell to our customers. At the end of the day, it's about providing customer the most value, and some people, who are just avid Amazon shoppers, would only shop on Amazon because of that trust. And I think Amazon also allowed us to provide users with that, next day shipping delivery. So I think Amazon has also played a very big part on our growth, with being able to reach the audiences there that otherwise might not have purchased outside of Amazon, and also allowed us to provide a better delivery and the one-day delivery as well. I think it really complements our D2C effort, I would say.
Okay,
Amazon.
fantastic. And then what about international commerce? You're based out in Canada, Toronto, so you're probably looking at the US and Canada as just one single unit, North America. Is that the case? And what about Europe? What about the UK? Do you have fulfillment centers across the pond? How do you, what are your key markets essentially?
Yeah, so we actually look at every country as its own market. So we have fulfillment warehouses, a few of them. I think we have 3 in the States, 2 in Canada. We have 1 in the UK. We have 1 in France, 1 in Germany, 1 in Spain, and 1 in Italy, and 1 in Australia as well.
What do you use for fulfillment?
We use Borderworks fulfillment.
Borderworks, okay, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
haven't heard of them. Interesting. Phenomenal. And then what were your strongest markets? The US, Canada. How does it look like?
I would say the US is still one of our strongest market. Canada is also a pretty big market, along with Germany and France. The UK is also one, I would say, right after Germany, it would be the UK as well.
Right. I'm just looking at your Instagram and your Facebook. There's a certain tone of voice. It speaks to female, I have to say. Is this intentional? Who puts together, your persona, your messaging across the board on social?
So that again comes through our consumer insights team. So what we found that I would say 70% of our users, 65 to 70% of our users are females. And so we cater, I wouldn't say all of our message to the female, but we make it proportional enough for our audience to really feel like we're speaking in the tone that they understand. And also, I think it's almost like let me go back and actually explain. So you know how brands are becoming more like people and people are becoming brands? And the user persona, when we think of our brand, is this, wellness guru that is encouraging, that is and educating and motivational, and that's kind of how we built our tone by really having that persona of that wellness guru.
It makes a lot of sense, and it comes across as that, and it comes quite authentic and positive. Right. I've asked a ton of questions. I just wanted to thank you for for this opportunity, for us to really probe. FitTrack is phenomenal. I have to say, as a company. The final question I had to ask really was your retail. What's been your experience in retail? You did mention the fact that you're in Best Buy. What takeaways do you have now with your experience in retail?
So retail is something that we just started out, so it's not something I could give much advice on. I'm sure if you ask me that in 6 months from today, I have plenty of experience and advice.
Brilliant. Well. Are there any other questions you think I haven't asked you?
I think you covered a lot of really great questions today, so I really appreciate that.
Brilliant. Okay, so before I let you go, we have what's called like an evergreen rapid fire, section of every podcast with founders, and I'm going to ask you about 7 questions, and if you could use a single sentence, it's not mandatory, but it's a format to answer each question. I'll appreciate it. You ready?
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
What advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago?
Hone in on your marketing skill sets before starting a business.
Awesome. Are you a morning person?
Now I am, yes.
Do you have a daily morning routine?
Yes, I do. I meditate very early in the morning because it really sets your tone for the rest of the day. And then I usually actually have a night routine as well, where I would plan my day ahead of time, so that way the next day I can meditate and then get into work right away.
What 2 things can't you live without?
My iPhone and my computer.
What book are you currently reading?
The Hard Things About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz.
Right. What's been your best mistake to date? By that I mean a setback that has given you the biggest feedback.
Growing too fast and having issues with customer service. I think that really made me dug a lot deeper into what customer service really is, and understanding how that is the true value of any business.
Awesome. If you could choose a single book or resource that's made the highest impact on how you view building a business and growth, which would it be?
Play to Win.
Play to Win. Sure. We'll link to that in the show notes. I have to say, we're in the month of July. We're just approaching August. This is probably the best, comes out top interview I've had this year from a founder. I just want to thank you, Jeff, for coming on the podcast. For people who want to find out more about FitTrack, it's just FitTrack.com, FITTRACK.com. And Jeff, are you active on social media? Do you post anywhere? Do you hang out anywhere so people can follow you?
Yes, so you guys can find me on LinkedIn under Jeff Sawyer Lee, or Twitter and Instagram, which is Jeff L Sawyer. That's JEFFLSAWYER.
We'll link through to all your socials on the show notes. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, Jeff. Cheers.
Great. Thanks a lot, Kunle.